day as Gael Claare.
Hello, it's William Gell, the Gergus and Claare Show, Claare na Gael. My name is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
And you're very welcome to this programme, Claare na Gael, which comes in two parts, one part in the English language as per Telia G Gael, and another part in the Manx Gaelic, Ginian Amera, the mother tongue of Ellen Vanning, the Isle of Man. As Mubanach Dutrish. William Gell spotlights Castle Rushen and the Stanleys as kings and lords of Man, and that's led to John Seacombe's account of the House of Stanley. The Stanleys often get mentioned, but perhaps without much being known of them, so they're the current focus. Ons skiel ferish na brerich en grim, John Beneg en Messich Ashenpootel, Shendegrei Callion na Lai, Tish aignit davrige mor Callion sa chamber early, Goudsten lias woirek, as en der lias hurek, Juno tran lesori. A song in Gaelic na halibut to open, as Arthur Cormac sings of Cheer Magrai, Land of My Love, which is a song written by another Skyman, Blair Douglas. Tawas geest Jacris Radio Vanning, Stasiwn and Ashun, Viskull Scalia Mach by Dúlish, Allen Vanning.
Shesev na munad foguad giwish Shalach suaivnach gan sanas gruish Clachan coines lach gan nuai O hyd na nuach gran hamas aliach yn biawn tans na'n caelch yn dorach na'n bags na'n traians na'n slech yn corach Dw'hig stwchas ciangelch gychawn Chaniel bachgych ar sgarych ach tastal na'n tawn Amohul chir yn ai Nôl har chwain gychid magrai Sa ffacel gyn fican Lesgal had mohul Clan y lodge, clown y fodge, sa chyr y fwf. Charal ffeta neregyd, no brat a chi. Gyd na'n Gael, chachir, chachir. Amohul chir yn ai Nôl har chwain gychid magrai Spinkiol y geri an chlatach y twa Pwrsg na'n ffil yr ans na nod yn lwai Siemanian dawn y spoiches Soros dal ymhyn Sketski an yr sgydach maryn ar cri. Am o hwyr e chir yn ai, nôl har chwaig e chir mwy rai. Am o hwyr e chir yn ai, nôl har chwaig e chir mwy rai.
Arthur Cormac with the Blair Douglas song Cheer Mograi. John Stanley had been renowned for his skill at martial arts, and that had led to his being knighted by Edward III. Although he was a younger son, so not the main heir of the Stanley family, he had contracted a marriage which had brought him great wealth through his wife Isabel Latham, the main heiress to the Latham and Knowsley estates in South Lancashire. He had been given high office in Ireland by King Richard II and received rewards of estates in Cheshire and elsewhere to add to what he held in Lancashire. Even when Richard II had been deposed and replaced by Henry Bolingbroke, Henry IV, John Stanley's abilities were recognised by the new king and he was reaffirmed in his high office. With the various rebellions with which Henry Percy, the Earl of Northumberland, had been involved, the Percy titles were forfeit to the crown for a time. And at the time, rightly or wrongly, but de facto, those titles included the Kingdom of Man, which Henry IV conferred on Sir John Stanley in 1405. Ta cuire ergit on de chuile benne Gaelan, de golgus castle and Rhys on Gins, as they fo mac and rai ben fwsi a hon heen. Geda wel de chuile fech Elias on gol, tan lias foir ec gins de ashen putel, na wel kied ec gol, no na wel edian cwiec, na wel fissec an achter gaunsen, as de beg ish tar njera orusen. Na jai te bilje beg cowle nes aie mera, vai twig hug an erec gi, as renny query on shen an ai, ball ren na jerec corusja gi, as renny bishiche, de vei bilje brau. Te shadow phone bilje as braiach je de chrei, as de liege de ergid as tujem nu sorry. Ta ushag wen liege noos gi, goon stormer, lesh ergid as lesh as bregen leichet lesh as lesh ergid nies, as de gulg as yn gins. Chanella look tai corenori, a chanella prince liege an lawek a cledden tre. Tre ti Gael te son gul Mary, ach eg a tai ti limas jachs a tai calman. The wizard Merlin is said to be trapped by his lover, the fairy Vivian, or perhaps lying buried in the forest of Brocéliande in Brittany. Breton singer Gwenin is here on a voyage to Avalon, Béage de Avalon.
Mil gwysyn days, mil gwysyn nos, nan bwreten a kavet repos, hon est dans l'aine, dans la fondise, quand des hommes le nia ya wonkis. Mil gwysyn days, mil gwysyn nos, san beden days a chum cortos, o edan days dam gale, hay chaden a oura garanté. Days on the heavens of fall, leaving his days on ladies. Days on the heavens of fall, left my sting agarrante. Days on the heavens of fall, leaving his days on ladies. Days on dispis home with our face a geese of bravi min wishing days mil wishing nos sande den days a shame portos oh den days dam gale hey shadena hura garantie.
Béage de Avalon, Voyage to Avalon, from an album by Breton singer Gwenin with her songs dealing with Arthurian legend. Va ashen pootle fi tavi, as vi limmer machas en taikal menrish, as raigus a tamag chawl, as unshen vi chor voie a goon elenek, as chor ne lai an eye, as van usje nimmer ge shulrish. As vi chor moi an honor mui lie begak rish, as high shees a chamber early, masternes maregen doe. A lair gain tre renne jint skoltoyacht as no, as van as a lias boer as na lias hurigen engel hugge, high ashen pootle gus a tamag chawl, as demi, will ye beg, erbeskin gin cray, as scalia as ergid noos, the bottom scoil a care. Esh ren an ushe kjouwshies goon va eer smoogstomen a shen jay. As tre henkies jach on, as mooi, master na goldie, va dag ver jou goil jinde smooge een eilijak. Van prince rei furchten der a renkie, as gawie a lauwek, as renne downse inrigen Mary. William Gell led the way upwards, if you recall, and, now standing on the topmost height, and having gained a beauteous sight, here muse we on the Derby's might. When Latham had on Stanley smiled, the Union fair was duly filed and stamped, the Eagle and the Child. Crest to the Derby of renown, who thence for full 3 centuries down held undisputed Mannin's crown. At the time that the Kingdom of Man was assigned to Sir John Stanley in 1405, initially only for his own lifetime, but a year later made inheritable, he didn't come to the island himself, but he sent his son, John, just at the outset. On his death in 1414, that son, another Sir John Stanley, became King of Man. He visited the island twice to suppress trouble in 1417 and 1422, and on that visit in 1422 he also required the island's laws to be committed to writing. Before that, it was what was known as breast law, where the Deemsters had learned the laws and held them in their breasts, as they said, committed them to memory. Music from the band led by Manx musician Becky Hurst, whose whistle brought that piece to a close, and that was Burling Jerg, the Red Galley, with a track called Sunnydale.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Sure that Stasiwn and Asiwn radio vannin, as unsure towers Geisjach, Rish Claare and Gael, Merempeen, Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslag.
Have you heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
Mobile Geisjach Rish Claare and Gael, te recorders regaden in a dega radio vanning through den Chraman Eish Rish. Te podcast Genius, vis regaden nasty through den dega radio vanning, na through den Reicher the podcast dead. Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, na Alexa. As the Deemsters had to learn the laws, it's perhaps not surprising that being a Deemster ran in families, most famously, of course, the Christian family of Milntown. It would be interesting to know how the process worked. In Wales, the bards composed works to remember the lineages of their patrons and heroic deeds by writing them according to strikingly constructed verses, which acted as a mnemonic and were easier to remember. Wales has preserved that in the strict metre poetry, but the same process was found in Scandinavian courts, amongst the Anglo-Saxons, and no doubt other traditions throughout the world. Not having things written down is not a sign of illiteracy, it's a sign that the bards of whatever tradition preferred the primacy of words and the importance of the oral tradition, rather than committing things to writing. You can see the power of the word in the way people use them, in spells and curses. Later on, many of the pieces from oral tradition came to be written down, and that's how they come down to us. As Henk Pecher Bielia, de Hochwirre Ashenputtel, Dorten Prins, Pinti Morshesha. As Henk fast de bag vi giri golde valia. As ren de Prins Aertori, no drawi giri fagen kreen taivi kochondrish. Ach, renny brisher sulbai, as renny reistjach se gere chau chulu gentai. On shen van a jadu bilje moer brau, on verges pieren yindesach. Renny limme goedrum as fjorag master de banglenen, as gerau visser bi ege frins, na hagerie. Maar so renne forchten der henken as esch den she de rauwe voidjen jou gagen rijer sulwai, as de rauwe smunjen de rauwe engol stjach se vilje pier. Ren en smunjen rischen heen, had not de away den ashenputtel wod, as huggy aim son tai, as ren ljegel a bilje. Ach, rauw pecher be on. As tre hired stjachs a chamber early, und shen van a sai ashenputtel, masten as a regen doer. The lockdown a few years ago inspired quite a few pieces of creativity, and Welsh and Cornish singer-songwriter Gwenno wrote a song in Cornish, which she then taught to various people all over Cornwall and got them to join in with her, and this is it. Muras di'r Gyrnaw, thanks to Curnow. And that's the Celtic word for Cornwall. the Curnow Bedroom Choir, with a song written and arranged by Gwenno, Miras Dia Gurnow. Ach baasjen poetel en sjens en haar kajen. No, der hou je jit noes chou elje, wil je, as a chorlie needien ellenek haaskes en ushig a tamang chaul. As a chor mooi en shan onrel je grish. An traslei, trev an as a jas voir as an del jas huur, en ngol rumbu, hai ashen poetel rish gus a mera, as doortier as je wil je. Wil je beg, muskin gin cry, a scalia as erget noos, de vodum scoile care. Esh ren an usje kjou noos goon, as gerauwe lid riura hagen, son stormid as gillage, as bregen vagint as As trevi hagen sa goon shoeg a jins, herau fissek pecher bi nuddig rij, chwish van jindes. Ren a prins down se inrug en Mary, as ren pecher bi elje braiach g, dreggerij, empien team or shesha. As treven fast a beggar jit, va ashen poetel geri gulda valia, as een prins chi gul Mary. Sir John Stanley, the second Stanley King of Man, died in 1432, and he was succeeded by Sir Thomas Stanley. He again was a very important official of the royal court, including being appointed Lord Lieutenant of Ireland, and also leading deputations to arrange settlements with Scotland. In 1456 he went into the House of Peers as Baron Stanley, and was appointed as Lord Chamberlain of the King's household. But, as with his grandfather, the first Sir John Stanley, there's no record of his ever visiting the Isle of Man, and there's no Manx legislation known from his time. His successor to the kingship of Man in 1460 was another Thomas Stanley. The politics of the era were a battleground, and after a trumped-up charge of treason to get Thomas Stanley out of the way, he was in fact released and rewarded with the position of Constable of England for life, and the Order of the Garter. But it was on the actual battleground of Bosworth Field in 1485 that Thomas Stanley and his brother William famously intervened. The tune for this song is known here in the island as Jenny is all the go, but this version is used for the song The Road to Claare, and it's sung by Kevin Conniff as a member of the Dublin Trio.
I am a country servant serving in Killan, in a place they call New Hamilton, a grand old-fashioned town. It was early in the morning, at the hour of 3, when I set off for Claare, the old grey mare and me. It was early in the morning, at the hour of 3, when I set off for Claare, the old grey mare and me. In the middle of the town, a bus I chanced to pass, and on a seat upon the bus I spied a handsome lad. Says I, me pretty fair maid, oh come along with me, I'm going the road to Claare, the old grey mare and me. Cheeks as red as roses, eyes of bonny blue, dancing, dancing, pierced me through and through. She fairly won me fancy and stole away me heart, jogging along to Claare on the sour mill cart. I asked her up beside me, so on the cart she sat. I put me arm around her waist, we soon began to chat. The birds in the bushes, how sweetly they did sing. The blackbird and the thrushes, they made the valleys ring. Cheeks as red as roses, eyes of bonny blue, dancing, dancing, pierced me through and through. She fairly won me fancy and stole me heart, jogging along to Claddie on the sour milk cart. You've heard of lords and ladies making love in shady bowers, and how they while away the hours amidst the roses and flowers. I'll ne'er forget that morning when Cupid shot his dart, jogging along to Claddie on the sour milk cart. Cheeks as red as roses, eyes of bonny blue, dancing, dancing, pierced me through and through. She fairly won me fancy and stole away me heart, jogging along to Claddie on the sour milk cart. Cheeks as red as roses, eyes of bonny blue, dancing, dancing, pierced me through and through. I'll ne'er forget that morning when Cupid shot his dart, rocking along to Claddie on the sour milk cart. Dum duppity 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 diddly da ruppity dum da ruppity diddly da ruppity dum da ruppity diddly da ruppity dip dip da. Oh, Daisy.
The voice and bowron of Kevin Cuniff, joined in the Dublin trio by Joe McKenna on uilleann pipes and Tony Byrne on guitar. The Stanleys largely stood aside at Bosworth Field. With the vanguard of Richard III's troops struggling and some of them fleeing the field, the King had signalled Henry Percy, the 4th Earl of Northumberland, with that family now reinstated, to come to his assistance. But Northumberland did nothing. So King Richard gambled on attacking his rival Henry Tudor, and he charged across the field to do so. However, that led to Richard's being separated from his knights, and the Stanleys now made their move. They went to the aid of Henry Tudor, and the Stanley men surrounded and killed King Richard. After the battle, one of the Stanleys took the crown and placed it on the head of Henry Tudor as Henry VII. Not long afterwards, Henry VII created Thomas Stanley the 1st Earl of Derby. So there was John Stanley in 1405, another John Stanley in 1414, Thomas the Baron Stanley in 1432, and then this Thomas Stanley in 1460, who became the 1st Earl of Derby in 1485. Ach sen renashen putel rai sha Prince gebu noch doddy airtori. Ach, wij nerige plan. As wij chor olien y Griechen, de wij sleet leis pik. Maar so houds vi reishisad, van vreg hostiel de voigen tanachten on, as lianten rish. Renna Prince, trogel nise, as honneke de rawi as as de rawi fiebeg as Gael. A morra gain, haig as an egge, as dinche de nach bech pecher bi mor ben jesje de, ach innergen a fair, as wech a vreg fregerdag de. Esch wat de huur fi vanre, noder au cadden nog. Haie versienes jags a chamerek, de jenu prowelus jen breg a cas. As van voirek na shadow ljorri. Ach, a doddy sai en oordeg chosje ex jag ongi, noder au a breg ro beg. Esch hug a voirgi skin, as doorty. Jin gyara gi den oordeg chosje, son tret hawus de ven rein, gebi fe med arach gulle chosh. That's the sound of recent visitors to Cruniach this year, the Welsh band Abanc, and a track called Fitz.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Stasiwn yn asiwn dy radio banning, as ag y tre ton, sé Claare na Gael visgol scalia mach, as mish Robert Gytyn Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did the other hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Mar so, ren na nien giara voi yn ordeg choseg. Ren I jinga a chaseg stiach sa vreg, as ish volach a pian, as hai shieskas a frins. Eis gauw ei merish a chabelegge, de vei a ven fusi, as ren I machri ach rosh. Be orogel sha an ai, as ons shen van in sai en dech al men a tamag chawl, as diliad. Shoch a prins as ben egg, ach da fool a breg. Ro vegd en vreg shen, genel shen a ven. Esh ich a prins a vreg ek, as honnek a fool reishies. As hin daar megit a chavel, as hooke les a ven jesje falls a Tyrish. As doort een a rawish a fair kjaart. As de rawi a churelia de prowlers Jane vreg. Maar so, hai stiachs a chamber ek de shen. As henke li korstjach na meer chosje ek de sauer. Ach, van bowen ek, ro voer. Esh ren a voer ek korgie a skin as doort he, gin gyara jeed glouch vai de voin. Thomas Stanley, who became the first Earl of Derby, had been married to Lady Eleanor Neville. Now, she was the sister of Richard Neville, the Earl of Warwick, famous by the name of the Kingmaker. On Eleanor's death in 1472, Thomas Stanley, the first Earl of Derby, remarried, and his wife was Lady Margaret Beaufort. Now, she was the daughter of the Duke of Somerset, and through her father she was a great-granddaughter of John of Gaunt, the fourth son of Edward III. He was the father of Henry IV. His nephew was Richard II, and through his daughter Joan Beaufort he was an ancestor of Edward IV, Edward V, and Richard III. Because of this connection with its claim to the throne, Margaret had been married in 1450 by papal dispensation, and only at the age of 6, to the 7-year-old heir to the Duke of Suffolk, John de la Pole. Now, just as a matter of interest, John de la Pole's great-grandfather on his mother's side was Geoffrey Chaucer. This marriage of the 6-year-old to the 7-year-old was annulled just 3 years later. Chris Drever is originally from Orkney, though based in Glasgow for many years. This is the traditional song, O the Airts.
Over the arts, the wild can blow, dearly love the west. For there the bonny lassie lives, the lass I love the best. The wild woods grow, and rivers row, with many a hill between. Both day and night, my fancies fly, as ever with my Jean. I hear her voice. sighs and vows among the knowes who passed between us twain, who failed to meet, who woe to part the day she gave away. Powers above can only know to whom the heart has seen, and bring the lassie back to me. Nothing can be so dear to me, my sweet and lovely Jean.
Oh, all the arts of all the places or directions, and that was Orkney singer and guitarist Chris Drever with his arrangement of that traditional song. After the annulment of Margaret Beaufort's marriage to John de la Pole, Edmund Tudor, the first Earl of Richmond, was given wardship of the then 9-year-old girl, but in fact she was still only 12 years old when he married her in November 1455. And he married her because it was through Margaret's ancestry that Edmund Tudor's son would be able to claim the English throne. By June the following year, Edmund Tudor was in Wales dealing with the war that had broken out there, but he was captured and imprisoned in November 1456. Whilst imprisoned in Carmarthen Castle, he's said to have caught bubonic plague and died, although murder was suspected but never proved. By this time, the now 13-year-old Margaret was 7 months pregnant, and subsequently gave birth to Henry Tudor on the 28th of January 1457. In 1458, Margaret married again, this time Henry Stafford, the Duke of Buckingham, like her a great-grandchild of John of Gaunt. But they had no children, and their marriage was spent in raising Henry Tudor. Tre tawas de ven rein as a moir, chabi fémed arach a gull e chosh. Mar so renne nien giaragid glouch jen voenek, as high a cast jachs a vreg, as ish follig a pian. As high shisk as a prince, ran Gael a ven fusi rosh a chabel, as renne markiach rosh. Trevagul sha tamach howl, van dech al men in Sion shen, as diliad, shoch a prince as ben egg, ach da fool a breg, ro veg ten vreg shen, as genel shen a ven. Shich a prince a cas, as honneke en ach van fool rai mach as a vreg, as dege an osher ven. As jen deem a geert a chabel, as hugge lesh a ven fusi falls a tyrish. Hanel shaw en fair kjart doorte, ne wel shurer be eliad. Genel doort een dunje, ach ren me ven vis marunish vergeel na jai ashen poetel weg boch, had nodde away de wel isje ven fusi. Here's another song from Breton singer Gwenin, where she describes something, I think, to do with humans. Mabden would be mankind, human beings. This is the diminutive Mabigden. Anyway, this is Gwenin.
Her av Gael og kusked inn I villi. Hon har vel ovodalla hus I benidal. Agene vreal, moguskine zonjou. Eslomra vel bebnos, rangmaz e vehajou. Comme raton et Juan qui n'est né un bugel et non est mort en bon un air sur les rotos à rayo non de fantasi as lashno handudi. Zoomedina gaswezus menachlandi vene. Hazinon pemengran, vogen gevin. In galon accused, keratin zorarbe.
Breton singer Gwenin and her song Mabig Den. Ach ren Macari o dreil de lizach ashen pootle weg currit lesh rosh. Ach, dortel jas woir, han nod e away, te fodder of roch, han nodum liggagy weir a hagen. Ach, shin agne wege de bech ish currit lesh, as morsov a famer ashen pootle chit kion perish. After 13 years of marriage to Margaret Beaufort, Henry Stafford died in 1471. Margaret was still only 28, and in 1472 she married the 36-year-old Thomas Stanley, subsequently to be made the first Earl of Derby in 1485. Margaret bore no further children, although Thomas himself did produce at least one son with another woman. As the jar of Chennai Cartnish, just an treir jet the Chorkion a Claare a Chirshaw. You can enjoy 2 hours of the best of chill-out music for your Sunday evening from 7 till 9, and at 9 it's sundown to take you through into Monday morning. Claare Gael comes to a close with the trio Barul, with the track called The Wheel of Fire, a reference to Manannan rolling himself along the hills as a wheel of fire or a fiery 3 legs. Ach the Misher Soul, as we saw until the next time then, this is Robert Cateen Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Our Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night. Eve I'm a Creors, as Duts, Nigerian Share.